You're listening to Stephanie with the Stephanie O Show right here on 103.9 LI News Radio.
Hey, it's Stephanie with the Stephanie O Show. And guess what? It's Wednesday night. It's 10 o'clock. And here we are at the lovely MacArthur Airport. And so far, I haven't seen any planes come in because I don't see anybody looking in the windows here taking pictures of us. And as I explain every week, I always feel like a caged animal. But nobody taking pictures this week. And I sort of feel left out, like where are my fans? But we're so great this week because I have a whole studio of people who I'm going to introduce to you in about 5 minutes. But before we start, and I said tonight I'm not really going to talk much because I have so many people calling in tonight and there's so many people here in the studio. But I do have to talk about one thing because I have Andre Wade here with us, who is the CEO of Inspire Talent, and he has worked with 50 Cent. Did I say that right?
That's right.
50 Cent, right? 50 Cent.
Ferrari.
And the reason I want to bring him up quickly is because I'm so amazed that he is able to file bankruptcy.
He's smart.
Is that what it is?
He's absolutely smart. He got somebody trying to sue him right now, and the smartest thing to do is say, "I'm broke." You don't want to play with the IRS like that.
I just don't understand it. How in the world can he be broke? I mean, you hear his music constantly. He's in movie after movie. He's performing all the time. How, if he's broke, then what are the rest of us supposed to do? I mean, there's no help for us.
Right. If he's broke, then we're in extreme poverty.
Right. I mean, we are in trouble. So what's wrong with him? What kind of man is he?
I think he's very intelligent. He is telling the judge that he made $100,000 or $150,000. He paid himself $150,000 on his own show. I just think that it's pure intelligence. Obviously he probably has the document somewhere to prove that he paid $150,000 to himself. However, there are probably monies that are going unregistered. So, but right now, a woman suing him. What happened is the meat of the story is he was sleeping with Rick Ross's woman, and him and Rick Ross have a continual, real or unreal music feud going on. Where I'm better than you, basically.
Right.
So he was sleeping with Rick Ross's woman, and somehow it leaked out. A film of it leaked out.
A film of Rick Ross?
Now here's
and his woman, or a film of 50 and Rick Ross's woman?
A film of 50 Cent and Rick Ross's woman. Now here's the real meat of the story. The real meat of the story is she's got paid out of this. For a defamation of character suit, she's got paid out $5 million.
Right.
So she made off like a bandit. And that's why 50 is claiming bankruptcy, because he doesn't want them to, of course, continue to siphon his funds.
Well, maybe he is smart. But,
exactly.
There's going to be people watching his money once he files for bankruptcy. It's not going to be that he can do whatever he wants.
Right. He told the judge that. He said, "I'm no longer cool because I filed for bankruptcy. And in hip hop, you can't file for bankruptcy."
Really? Is that the truth?
Yeah, that's what he said. Those are his own words.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you for that information.
No doubt.
And I want to introduce everyone else who's here. And as I told you, that was Andre Wade with Inspire Talent, the
Inspire
CEO,
the world.
The CEO of Inspire Talent. But also here tonight is Corey P. Smith, and he told me to make sure I say Corey P. Smith because there is another Corey Smith who we don't want to confuse him with. He's an author, and let me tell you something. This is a guy you want to talk to because he is an expert on credit awareness. And you know what? In today's society, we all need to stay ahead of the credit bureaus because they are killing us. I hear all the time on the radio, if you make a late payment, they kill your credit. I mean, anything you do. Things happen. The U.S. mail makes us late payments sometimes. It's not even our fault, but our credit is shot. You do one thing wrong and you go from, 700-800 to 500, 600. It is a joke. And then how it trickles down, then we pay higher interest when we get a car loan. We pay higher interest on mortgage. I mean, if you don't have stellar, perfect credit, this is how they get you today. The credit cards charge you more money. Everybody charges you more money if you don't have stellar credit. And it's all a game. It's a game on how to make you have not stellar credit so they can charge you more money. Am I correct?
That's right.
Mr. Smith, is that a good way to describe this?
That is a very good way of describing what's taking place. I love the fact that you use the word game because that's absolutely what it is. It's a game. a game of numbers,
Right.
algorithms.
Right. Tell us about your books.
Conspiracy of Credit is basically an unapologetic blueprint of how the credit bureaus, the banks, even the politicians and political institutions all are interlocked in some shape, form, or fashion to keep poor people in bondage. And I don't mean a black and white thing.
No, this is everyone. I
This
don't
is
care
everyone.
if you're, pink, purple, or green. This
Exactly.
affects every person in society in some way.
Exactly, and I just talk about how right now what's taking place in our country is a public economic lynching against the poor working class, and the problem is
Right.
they don't have the tools to fight.
Right. And I want to do one thing before we go any further. I know I have Adrian. I have a bunch of guests, but I have to introduce Adrian Schwartz, my co-host with Life and Style, In Touch magazine, and Closer magazine. Adrian, are you with me? We don't have Adrian. Adrian is not with me. So, and the reason that I stopped you when I heard you say that is because last week we had a woman on who Adrian had brought on who wrote a book of how to buy a house for young people. And when I read about something, one of the people wrote about your book, they wrote, I recommend it for all young people. And you know what? That's the truth, because that's when it starts with the youth.
Right.
They have to understand how to manage their credit so they don't get into the troubles that the people today. I mean, 99% it seems of the entire population has credit problems. Not brought on by themselves, in fact.
Right.
And I'm an attorney, so I see it on the other spectrum when people come and they're like, oh my God, what do I do? How do I repair this? How do I fix this? And, let's call it as it is. And Mr. Smith, you'll be able to confirm this. How difficult is it to fix your credit once it's messed up?
It's very difficult if you don't have a plan of action. It's very difficult if you don't know exactly how to approach maybe taking a collection account off, or how to approach taking a tax lien off, or how to approach removing a bankruptcy. A lot of people think that it's a myth or it can't be done, that you can actually remove a tax lien or that you can actually remove a bankruptcy. And I talk about all of these things in my book, and I actually provide real examples in my book of some of the tactics that I used against the collection agencies, as well as removing tax liens that I had.
So, Corey, 50 Cent needs your help right now.
Yeah, you know what? As far as 50 goes, he is a very smart
Right.
individual, but I do believe that there are some issues there with him, because you just can't walk. I don't care how smart you are, or you're gonna have to prove a lot to walk in and file bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So whatever those issues are with him, of course we the public don't know, but I do believe that he has some issues somewhere in order for him to be able to do that. Just from my experience with bankruptcy and knowing how they change the bankruptcy laws.
Right. So what are your expert suggestions for someone when they first say to themselves, oh my God, I can't get a car, I can't get a car at 12% interest? I mean, what do you suggest to someone? What's the first thing you do
The first thing,
to repair your credit, to fix your credit, to take a look at your credit, to, do something?
the first thing you need to do is order your credit report. So it's almost like it's economic warfare. And before you approach any war, you have to look at what you're up against. So that's the first thing that you need to do. Once you find out what you're up against, then you need to begin researching. I mean, you have to be consistent.
Right.
You have to be relentless at changing your situation. The problem is with most people, and I talk about this, they don't understand how to leverage debt, because that's all credit is.
What is leveraging debt for people who don't know what that is? I mean, these are terms that a lot of people don't even know what those words mean.
Leveraging debt, or leveraging your credit, is using your credit to put you in a better financial position to acquire assets that will service the debt, as opposed to you getting a Macy's or a Bloomingdale's card and putting yourself in debt and acquiring things that basically depreciate in value, that's not going to help you. If you, let's say, on the other hand, if you're able to get a $10,000 Amex card and take that $10,000 Amex card and find you, let's say, some tax lien property somewhere for $4,000, now you're leveraging debt because that property will return as an asset that brings you money to service the $4,000, $5,000, or the $10,000 that you used on the Amex card.
Right, well, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, but can people understand that? Can the general public get that concept? I mean, you know, I get it, but does the general public get it? And maybe that's why we need to start it in the youth, in the high schools. Maybe this is a course that should be taught in high school.
Yeah, of course. I mean, one of the things that I say, and a lot of people take this the wrong way, I always talk about education being overrated. And the reason why I say education is overrated, because they don't give us real tools to use. Once we reach adulthood and we start dealing with real issues, we don't have we don't know about real estate. We don't know about banking. We don't know about credit. And once you're into it, you're already at the finish line. You're done. Now you're 30 years old and you're trying to recover from credit. And you're in jail for 7 years financially.
Right, absolutely.
So, but if you get the real tools in high school, if you start a kid in the 9th grade and teaching him about credit issues, banking issues, real estate, then they have a much better chance at combating all of these the issues that we've faced in adulthood.
That's very true. I just want to reintroduce Adrian Schwartz from Life and Style, In Touch Magazine, and Closer Magazine. Adrian, are you with me? Oh, she texted me that she was with me, but I'm not hearing her. I don't know if it's an engineering issue, but she is telling us she is on. So don't blame Adrian this time. It's not her fault. I always blame her that she's hiding, or, you know, we go through where is Adrian? But Adrian says she's on and we're not getting her. So I don't know. We're going to have to tell Adrian to call us again. But while we have Corey speaking to us and explaining this credit situation, I liked what you wrote here. Credit is for poor people.
Right.
Explain that. I like that.
I mean,
Truth.
50 Cent. If you had, I could ask you that question. If you had $5 million in the bank right now, would you be concerned with credit?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
But for poor people, that's the only thing that they have is their name. That's the only thing that they have. You have your name, and if your name is screwed up, which is your credit,
right,
then you're in bondage.
Right.
You can't do anything.
I think we had Adrian. I'm sorry, we are having technical difficulty. We had Adrian for a moment. We lost it, but you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. So what do people do? What do you do? It's almost like you are in jail. You're continually in jail. You can't get out. You can't get yourself out. If you ruin your credit, you can't get out. You can't get out of your own way. Right. Is that true?
Well, if you have the information, and that's one of the things that.
That's why we need
this
your
is
book.
why we need the Corey P. Smith's book, Conspiracy of Credit.
I had someone ask me earlier, who am I, or I guess what are my plans, and I told her I would like to start a movement, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a movement to make changes. The credit bureaus have a lot of power. They're playing a lot of games.
Right.
You take a company like LifeLock.
Right.
One of the biggest revenue streams right now is people paying for identity theft protection.
Right.
That's a free product. You can protect your own credit.
How?
You can put a free.
I know everybody's sitting out there saying, "Okay, I want to protect my own credit." How?
One, you can place a consumer statement on your credit for free. You can. It's a simple statement.
See, I didn't even know that. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
and I'm an educated woman. You're saying a consumer credit on my. What did you say? I don't even know what that is.
Same here. I'm like, what?
You could place a consumer statement on your credit file. Basically, what that is, it's a note stating that before you extend credit to anyone, please contact me at XYZ number.
Really? And how do you go about doing that?
Send a letter into the credit bureaus.
The things they don't teach
All
us.
the credit bureaus have to get this? I know there's a couple of them. There's
All 3 credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. That's one of the reasons why, if you do the research, Experian sued LifeLock a few years ago because they said LifeLock was acting as the middleman and receiving financial benefits for something
People's
that's free
information.
to the public.
Oh, really?
Really, and people really think that they are getting something. The guy who started LifeLock has filed an identity theft report 13 times. It's public information. A lot of people don't realize that LifeLock is really owned by Goldman Sachs.
I didn't know that.
Yes, the same company that bought TransUnion the same year in 2012. Goldman Sachs bought TransUnion. So how can you win against that?
You can't.
You can't.
You really
So
can't.
you have to ask yourself the question, why would a bank buy a credit bureau?
Right.
Right, that is true. Let me ask you a question, because this is something I've wanted to know. People are so worried today about their Social Security numbers. Like, I was in the hospital with my daughter, and they said, what's her social? They're like, what's her Social Security number? They're whispering it to me, and I'm like, oh my God, this is top secret.
Right.
People are so scared today to give their Social Security numbers. How dangerous is it for someone out there who's, eavesdropping or peeping in to get your Social Security number? And then the second part of my question is, what are they going to do with it once they have it?
Exactly. You ever stop to ask yourself the question, why am I afraid? You're afraid the same reason they run so many commercials and entertain you with identity theft protection products and tell you, oh, protect your identity, protect your Social Security number. You have to ask yourself the question for people that do have bad credit. Right. I can't do anything with
You can't.
You can.
Right.
So, but
that's what I mean. So what are we all so scared about that our Social Security number is going to be heard by someone? And interestingly, that you bring up LifeLock, wasn't the CEO of that company, didn't he advertise his Social Security number on buses and trains? And,
Right.
Like, he wanted everybody to know his Social Security number. Well, I'm sure he doesn't have to worry because his Social Security number is known by everybody. But what are we worried about? What am I worried about?
Well, actually, referencing back to him, his identity was stolen.
Was it?
Yes, his identity was stolen, and
Before his,
no, after.
After.
Because he did put his information on a bus,
Okay.
and he tried to put up a fuss with the government because I think his information was actually hacked by some Russians. But when you do something like that, that's called willful negligence.
Right.
Like if you give me, you're an attorney. If you
Right.
give me all of your information, your social,
Right.
your driver's license,
Right.
your home address, if I do something with it, really, that can be considered negligence on your part
Really?
Yeah.
See, you're teaching me something.
because you handed me that information.
Wow, that's very interesting. I want to tell everyone how they can get in touch with you, but before we do that, I think we have Adrian on now. Adrian? Oh, I guess we don't have Adrian. I hear someone on the line, but I guess it's not Adrian. Tell me, how do people get in touch with you? First of all, how do they get in touch with you? And then secondly, how do they get your book?
Well, the book is sold wherever books are sold: Amazon, Barnes and Noble,
This is online.
online.
Did you
books
tell
and-
people in this show, wherever books are sold, they're going to go to Barnes and Noble, to the store?
Right.
That-
You can go
is
to
it in
Barnes
the
and
store
yeah,
also?
it's in the store. And even if you
Okay.
walk in the store and they don't have it in stock, they'll
Okay.
order it for you. You can go to Amazon. You can go to Books A Million. You can also go to www.conspiracyofcredit.com. You could also
Is that
go.
your website?
That's my website.
Okay.
You could also go to www.coreypsmith.com.
Okay, Corey. Again, Corey P. Smith, because there is another Corey Smith.
That's right.
Okay.
And one
And we
of
don't want your identity to be taken.
Go for it. The other thing, I'm working on a documentary entitled "Credit Is for Poor People."
What is that about?
Credit is for poor people. No, I'm just joking. it gives a lot more detail in terms of teaching people how to actually fight. I give real examples. We also have 2 storylines where we take a homeless guy and we bring him from nothing, build his credit up. Because I actually did this a few years ago. I took 2 homeless guys, build their credit up. They're both doing fine today. One of them still operates his own lawn service. He was able to buy a couple of trucks. The other storyline is a relative of mine that actually did 10 years in prison, working with him right now. Actually have his credit score up to like a 742 right now.
Wow.
Just showing the power of credit and showing how to leverage debt. Also goes into detail of why people should never settle credit card debt, because when they do that, they open themselves up to be to have to pay taxes on that credit. That's by law. Anytime you settle a debt for $600 less than what you owe, you're subject to pay taxes to the IRS.
Really? See,
Yeah.
that's very interesting to know. These are things that I don't even know. So you know what? It goes to show how little we know as consumers
Right.
and how much we should know and we don't know. So you need to get Corey P. Smith's books, because these will teach you all the little tricks that I think they hide these things from us. I really believe that.
Exactly.
Because there's no reason that people don't know these things.
Like you said, at a young age as well.
Right. So you have to think that somebody is putting these things, under the rug so that we don't know about it, and this way we pay higher numbers. It's all a numbers game, right?
Absolutely.
The less we know, the worse our credit, the higher the interest rates,
Right.
the higher the payments,
Right.
and it keeps us down. We can't get anywhere. We're always like swimming and,
Exactly.
always behind, and never getting ahead.
Exactly.
We're going to be back. It's Stephanie with the Stephanie O Show, and we're going to figure out what's going on in our phone system, Mr. Engineer, because Adrienne can hear us. At least she's getting to listen to this great show, but we can't hear her. So it's Stephanie with the Stephanie O Show. We'll be right back.